I'm Alan Spears with Occupy Democrats, and in some hilarious breaking news, Donald Trump's family just massively embarrassed him on the night of his big RNC speech. Now, as many of you are well aware at this point, the Republican National Convention has officially come to a close, ending with a big, rousing speech by Donald Trump himself at the end. Now, while Donald Trump is perhaps the root of all evil and the star of the show for the Republicans, the RNC has not been without a bit of levity and moments of hilarity, as we've previously seen. Rudy Giuliani, the former disgraced mayor of New York, stumbled his way into the convention hall. We've also seen none other than Matt Gaetz make an appearance and speak before the RNC, and looking like he's 1 milligram away from overdosing on Botox. But I do believe that the stars of the show are the numerous individuals that are definitely not in a cult and wearing bandages in solidarity with Trump and the recent assassination attempt. No, seriously, it's definitely not a cult. But as we kind of expected, Trump and J.D. Vance, his vice presidential pick, along with numerous other Republicans and MAGA enthusiasts such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, the MAGA queen herself, spent most of the time at the convention peddling a number of different lies, essentially endorsing Christian nationalism and making some pretty wild claims that Donald Trump was chosen by God himself. It really does beg the question if any of these Republicans are mentally fit enough to hold the positions of power that they do. Now, while the Republicans are doing their best to embody the worst aspects humanity has to offer, this is perhaps epitomized by Donald Trump's own family, though it should be noted that as of late, there's been one particular member of the Trump family that has been suspiciously absent from the public eye, and that is none other than Donald Trump's wife, Melania Trump. Now, that actually brings us nicely along to the breaking news that we're going to be discussing and covering today, as Melania has officially made her first public appearance with Donald Trump since he left the White House. Remember that while Trump was on trial and ultimately found guilty of the 34 felonies levied against him, Melania was suspiciously absent. Though I suppose it's not actually that suspicious, as Donald Trump was allegedly and ultimately found guilty of cheating on his wife and then bribing the former porn star Stormy Daniels to keep it quiet. Now, while Trump has been continuing to say that he doesn't know her really that well or has never slept with her, it would seem that the jury of his peers felt otherwise. So it really doesn't surprise me in the slightest that Melania may not exactly be too keen on spending a lot of time with Donald Trump. Now, to exacerbate the clearly strained relationship that Donald and Melania share, Melania kind of snubbed Donald Trump last night at the end of the convention, and that is actually what we are here to talk about today. Now, in a breaking story, we have just learned that Melania was asked by several people to give a speech at the week's Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, but declined each time. It's a long-held tradition for candidates' wives to speak at party conventions, and one Melania dutifully upheld in 2016 and 2020 in support of her husband's presidential bids. This time, however, Melania will take in the proceedings from the crowd and is expected to make an appearance Thursday evening to take in her husband's acceptance speech. And that is exactly what we saw happening. Melania entered into the RNC to thunderous applause from Republicans everywhere, and I have to imagine a sigh of relief from Donald himself. Now, it seems pretty clear to me that not only just as of late, but really for a number of years now, Melania and Donald haven't exactly gotten along very well. We've seen her constantly swatting away Donald's hands as he's tried to grab onto hers and tried to show maybe some semblance of feigned affection, and frankly, this is the kind of stuff that is just hilarious and sad to me. It would seem to me that Donald and Melania's relationship is a marriage in name only, and that there's really no love shared between these two. And frankly, that doesn't really surprise me at all, because if even half or even a quarter of what Stormy Daniels accused Donald Trump of, or if what the numerous women have accused Donald Trump of sexual misconduct is true, then he is a horrible person, especially to be married to. Melania clearly despises Donald Trump, and who can blame her? The man is a chauvinistic pig and a narcissist and the worst thing to happen to this country. I firmly believe that Melania only made an appearance at the RNC because she was basically forced to, and that she had very little say in the matter. And it still does just baffle the mind why Donald Trump, the man who is a serial cheater and a horrible misogynist, is the candidate of choice for evangelicals. Like, I get no one's perfect, everyone makes mistakes, but seriously? This is your guy, this is the candidate you think embodies your own values? Really? It's once again just proof of the cognitive dissonance that has just rotted the Republican brain. But I have the feeling that if Donald Trump, God forbid, is reelected, Melania will be suspiciously absent as she decides to maybe stay away from the White House and keep to herself as she's continued to do. But to Melania, I say you can do so much better than Donald Trump, as can we all.